thank you all for being here. Thank you also to our amazing audience. So today we're going to be talking about how it started and how it's going, as the MC said. So I'm going to be starting with a very simple thing, just trying to understand your brand story a little bit more. I'm going to start with you, Zainab. Can you just tell us a little bit about how your brand started and what motivated you to even join LLF in the first place?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. So my journey in the leather craft started in 2017, in April to be precise. A friend came over to visit and I took her to the Jack-on-Day Crafts Market to buy some gifts to take home. And I was very impressed with what I saw there. I saw a lot of leather work, very beautiful pieces, and but they were not necessarily to my style. Like, I wanted things done a bit differently or finished differently. So I found a guy there and I had a conversation with him about what I wanted. And basically he decided to, I sort of drew. I was like, okay, can you make here 5 inches, 1 inch? And I was like, oh, I can draw. Okay. Anyway, long story short, he produced 2 bags for me and I was very inspired. And I just thought, okay, this is something I can do because I come from a family of creatives. My older sister is a fashion designer. My younger sister, a graphic designer. And I was just the boring accountant. And I'd always been looking for my own creative flair or juices, you know? So I found it there. And then coincidentally, about a month later was the first Lagos Leather Fair. So I saw it on Instagram and I just thought, oh, this looks interesting, and marked it in my calendar. And I showed up on the day and boy, I was blown away. From the speakers, the Bank of Industry, just hearing about our leather tanneries in Kano and northern Nigeria, and then hearing from the designers, like I was blown. My mind was blown, and that was the beginning of my journey. When we were done with all the exhibitions, workshops, etc., I went to the where the bags were displayed, and I was so proud. Like, I was like, these are made in Nigeria. Are you joking? And I thought, okay, I found my thing. I'm definitely going to pursue this. So off to Kano I went, to the tanneries to find out how and, what they did. And then, afterwards I went to Paris, Milan, and then I drew up a plan about how I was going to be a global brand. And that was the beginning. So Leather Fair was definitely, what catapulted me to really give me that push and belief that it's possible. There are people doing it. And yeah, why not me? Thank you.
That is an amazing story. Intentionally hustling.
Thank you.
All of those contributions. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm gonna now go over to Jerry. I think Jerry, your story is interesting as well because I think you used to do the Femi handbag trainings, the leather craft trainings, and now you've been an exhibitor. I think maybe since 2017.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. My story into the world of leather, as it may be, is started way back from when I was pretty much younger. My dad would take me to the shoe stores to buy shoes, school shoes, and new buys. So I've always been drawn to leathers from a child. And afterwards, we're done with school. I went into paid employment, did marketing research for a while. And after about 6 years, I said to myself that I wanted to do something different. I felt it was boring, and then I resigned. And I wasn't even thinking about leathers, basically. I wanted to do business. So I went into farming. I got bond, pretty much. Invested, had money given someone who was going to manage the farms and all of that. So long story short, I lost every dime of my investment there. And I said to myself, I sat back. I said, I've resigned. I've lost a last chunk of my savings. What do I do next? So I said, anything I have to do next has to be something I will be involved in. So that's where the thought of being a craft person came in. And since I've always been drawn to leathers, I said, okay, why not pick up a career in leather craft? So I searched the nets, looked for where I could learn leather making, shoes to be precise. And then I found a training center. And then I went there. I haven't done the training I was motivated, I was inspired, I was wowed by what I saw. That the first question I asked when I got to the store was like, is all of this made in Nigeria? And they said, yes. I said, okay, I should train, yeah? I asked the question again, if I train with you, would I be able to do this? He said, yes. Coincidentally, the person that trained me is also exhibiting St. David. So I took the training, and afterwards, it was a few months training. Afterwards, I was done with that. What next? And I think just about a month after my training, I had about the Femi handbag training in Ibadan. And I said, okay, this is just like we had a semester break. I should continue. So I applied, I got selected, and I traveled to Ibadan to be part of it. And that opened me to a wider world of the leather industry, the leather world, and all of that. Because basically, I've been doing protocol, yeah, and I got there. I saw that there's much more to being a leather brand than just knowing the skills and the craft. And so after that, it was during the training I had about the leather fair. And I remembered a couple of times Auntie Femi would come to me and say, Jerry, I see what you do already with, you should apply. So I said, apply, I'm just a new brand starting, but she encouraged me pretty much, and I did apply. I got selected, came back to Lagos, because this was just going for training and then already applying to be at the fair. And I said, okay, I'll take up this challenge, and I did. And from then, it's been a story ever since.
That's a really great, inspiring story. Now over to you, Shekinah. Tell us a little bit more about your story and what motivates you to be an LLF.
Okay, hi everyone. So I started working at an investment bank when I finished university in the UK, and I moved back to Nigeria. And when I was working at an investment bank, I used to have a obsession with my designer bags and shoes. So I used to go to a cobbler next door and repair my shoes there and my bags. So when I moved back to Nigeria, I couldn't really find anybody that provided that service that was at the level that I actually liked and wanted. So I looked into it and realized that actually there's not many people in the market that actually caters to people that fix designer bags and shoes. So that's how I plunged into it. How I joined the LLF fair, the first year, I believe was 2018. And I just walked in and saw another person that actually he's part of the exhibition, Hanker and Reach. And he was questioning me. He was like, oh, how do you know so much about leather? I was like, oh, I actually look into it, and I'm actually working on this idea of preparing shoes and bags here. And he was like, oh, okay, you should join. So 2019, fast forward, I think my parents, everyone was looking at me like, she's now working for an investment bank. She's now a cobbler. Like, what's she doing? But I did my first exhibition in 2019, and then it kind of like grew from there. I think a lot of people, even Mrs. Femi that runs the fair, everyone was just like, what's she doing? What's this? I think people got to see what I was actually doing and what repair and restoration is, especially for luxury items. So yeah, that's how I got involved.
Yeah, thank you. I can actually relate to that, because I remember there was one year there was this stand that was always crowded. You couldn't actually see what was behind it. You just saw a whole bunch of people standing there just watching, because they were doing live repairs. And I remember thinking, what is happening there? So much so that last year, I think people came up to me and were like, oh, where are those people? So yeah, clearly you can't not come back.
Yes, I had to come back, and we're even bigger this year because now we actually do live demonstrations. So please do come to our store and see what we're doing, so you can actually see us dyeing and cleaning bags and shoes. So yeah, it's great.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay.
Now over to you, Sarah. Please can you tell us about your story?
Okay, so back in 2017, I used to work as a consultant, and I got a bag. So a friend helped me get a work bag from Dubai, and everybody loved the bag at the office. In fact, my partner then gave me money to help him buy one. So partner in my own office is like the MD of like so. And I was like, if everybody loves this bag so much, why is it so hard to find? And back then in 2017, which actually seems quite far, but it's not so far, most guys used to carry these Dell bags, this Dell laptop bag. So it was not very common to get a leather work bag, not even made in Nigeria. I mean, at all, whether it's imported or like all of that. So back then, what was popular was the portmanteau, as they call it for like the older guys. And then like the younger guys used to carry like the Dell laptop bags. So it was not very common. It was also seen as feminine for you to carry like a work bag.
as a man. In fact, my business partner used to laugh that who wants to carry leather bag, because I mean, he used to carry like a Dell bag. So I went to do the research, right? I went to Balogun Market back then to go and look for work bags, and I saw only 2 stores selling men's leather bags. One of them was selling the replicas, like all of that, and then the other one was selling the very olden days type of bag. It was really dusty. Obviously, nobody was buying it, but I mean, I bought like 2 that time. I went to my house back then in Bagada. I bought cardboard and then used my iPhone 6 or 5, to actually like do that, take a picture, all of that. Then I got like 2 of the replicas too, and I got that, opened my page, all of that. But the plan was always to produce in Nigeria. So the question was, why can't this be produced in Nigeria? So I actually imported bags for almost about 9 months, but I was always angry because I'm like, I want to be able to produce this thing here. During that time, I came to LLF, and it's very interesting because the first time I came to LLF, myself and my partner, the car did not have AC, so we were sweating that day. We came all the way from, I used to live at Bagada there, so we came from that. I was sweating, but I was like, I must come. So we came, had to actually go to the bathroom to go and clean our face and look good, and then we came. We were not producing then. So when we came, I was so inspired because I came and I saw so many brands doing locally made stuff. There's a couple of names I can remember. I'm trying to remember, but I cannot remember anymore. But I was really inspired. So I was like, you know what, this is interesting that I could see people doing this here. So, I mean, that also sparked my interest because this was what I really wanted to do. So I went to do the research and to get like a team that could actually produce this for me. There were a lot of mistakes made in the first batch. I wasted a lot of money because I had customers that were used to bags that we used to bring in, great stuff. Many were not actually real leather, but I mean, they look good. And trust Nigerians, sometimes they just care about how shiny it looks, how nice it looks. So for the first batch, it was like a waste. And my customers were angry because they were like, why don't you just go back to bringing in bags? But that was never the plan. My partner was even like, bro, let's just continue what we were doing. But I was like, you know what, that was not the plan. Anyways, to cut the long story short, we have been producing for about 4 to 5 years now. It has been an interesting journey, and the industry needs a lot of collaboration, which we'll actually get into as this goes. But I mean, it's been a very interesting journey. Still on the journey. Yeah.
Amazing. You guys realize that we have an accountant, an investment banker, a marketing exec, and a consultant on this stage who are now doing creative, amazing creative ambitions and thriving. If you ever needed to be inspired to really like sow your creative roots, look at these 4 people. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I think I now want to dive a little bit into, so like we said, it's been 6 years of LLF. Some of you have done this like 4 years, 2 years, 3 years. What brings you back? I mean, it's one thing to come, you've done it. What is the thing that happened in those years that you came that keeps bringing you back to LLF? Why are you here right now again?
Okay, so like I said, my first one, I came as an attendee. I was inspired, and by the time it was time for the next one, I needed more inspiration. So I spoke to more designers. I was trying to sort of navigate and figure out how I could position myself based on what I had seen. And I think by the 3rd year, I returned as an exhibitor, if I'm not mistaken. So 17, 18, yes. I returned in 2019 and as an exhibitor. And for me, that was a 180 moment. Like, I was so proud. And it's like, oh, I came here. This is where it started. And here I am back as an exhibitor. And I've been back ever since. Why? Because it's an amazing platform. In fact, it's one of the highlights of our calendar for us as Aaboux, as a brand, because of the exposure, because of the collaborations, the interest. It's just a wonderful, wonderful platform that brings everyone together. You have the conversations, you share your challenges with other people, you discuss the trends. So it's just really, it's a no-brainer for us and an absolute highlight of our calendar.
Amazing. I actually can't remember not seeing you here. So when you say 2019, I'm like, are you sure you were here in 2017? How about you, Jerry?
Yeah, for us, like I said, how I got into the leather fair as a growing brand, we basically we're just there, just to say, and coming into LLF was more like you pick a child who you see that's doing pretty well, and you said, "Oh, I want to show you to work." So he gave me that platform. It gave us the exposure, and most importantly, it gave us the opportunity to interact with our target audience. We're able to get live feedback. This is something you don't get all the time from your online store and all of that. So you see someone pick up your footwear and say, "Oh, I love this about this. I love this. I love this stitch. I love this." So you could easily see that, okay, these are these are major concerns for your customers, and then you could look at ways to improve on it. So for us, one, it gave us a platform to stand. It gave us the exposure as a brand, and it gave us the opportunity to interact with our target audience. So why not?
That's really great. I'm now going to hand over to Shekinah.
So LLF, the reason why I keep coming back is because of the network. So I actually started properly in 2019, and I didn't really know anybody in the leather industry. So exhibiting at the LLF, the Lagos Leather Fair, I was able to meet a lot of people and expand my network, which was fantastic. I remember meeting Zainab actually in the first fair in 2019. So things like that, you just meeting people that are in the same industry does help you because of collaboration and just talking to people about the nitty-gritty problems that you find and the good things that you find in the industry. And also brand awareness. At that point, I was only using word of mouth as a form of marketing for my business. So coming to the fair, I remember just the amount of people that turned up and were turning up every day to bring their items to come and see me. And I felt that was just something that I couldn't have done anywhere else. So that's the reason why I always come back. So yeah, I have to just always be back at the fair.
Okay, so I'd say for me it is basically all of what they have said, but I'll just add one more, which is community, right? For any industry to move forward, the major players have to somewhat know each other and form a community such that they can grow together. Prior to now, or let me say prior to a couple of years back, leather was Aaboux. It was synonymous with like Aaboux, right? So it was not really an industry, right? So I think LLF helps build that industry when it actually comes to leather goods, because there have been players here and there, but there's been no prominent names. And you cannot have an industry where there are no prominent names in the industry, and we cannot do it alone. We all have the same problems. Like when you talk to the next person, they have the same problem you're having, and we have the same issues because we are not a community, right? So yeah, we come back every year because it just helps further build that community. Is a journey. We are not there yet, but I'm very confident that this helps. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm hearing things like exposure, feedback, community network. These are fantastic things, especially for an industry that has amazing predictions being made about it every year. We keep hearing the same predictions and the number keeps growing. First of all, it was 1 million. Now it's rising. I think I want to take us outward a little bit and segue into the industry. So thankfully you for distinct industries, women's handbags, footwear, leather services, and then men's bags. I would like to understand a little bit about what you've seen in the industry since you started participating in the fair, things you've learned and how you think the fair has helped that or how you think it could help. So essentially, things you've seen thus far operating in your industry, how it's evolved since you started participating in the fair, and how you think LLF can continue to support that evolution or support some of the things you do want to see.
Okay, so I think that as a creative industry, the Lagos Leather Fair promotes creativity and gives people that avenue and platform. So I love things that they do. So initially, and in every session that I've been at, they've had workshops, so they bring experts to talk about techniques, industry practice, some, from out of Nigeria, just sharing processes. And I guess you want to keep improving your craft. So development is very big for me personally and in the work that I do. So it's always good to sort of hear what people are doing, see the sort of textures that they're playing with, the materials, the tanning process. So, I mean, it's constantly looking out to see what's happening, the new trends, even though we're not the trendy business, but I mean, just understanding what customers want, the type of designs that they're looking for. When I started initially, I had like two shapes. We had one shape that we made variations of. So my bags are constructed in a stitchless design. We use rivets to construct. And for me, that was my unique selling point. And I've stayed true to that along the way. But for sure, people, you meet people, you get feedback, you get questions. Okay, can I have a belt bag? Can I have this? And a lot of my bags are named after people that questioned or wanted those bags and pushed me. So I had an idea from the beginning about things I wanted to do. But certainly speaking to people, they sort of sped up some of those designs because there was a demand for it. So you're constantly looking out and listening to your customers and what do they want and how do I evolve. And even internationally, we have dominant players out there, right, that have the big names, the big budgets behind them. So you sort of look at what they're doing, but I know what my unique selling points are, and I know how I can weave my creativity, and I know how I can be lean and agile and, play around with things and sort of switch, trial and error, basically, But yeah, it's really seeing what's out there, what people like, what people are responding to. And I mean, there's so much creativity out there. People are mixing different materials, coming up with different styles. So it's just looking around and being inspired, but sort of remaining true to your brand and vision and what you're doing. And then also, obviously, getting that customer feedback. But yeah, it's growing every year. I mean, from strength to strength is very impressive. I mean, there are predictions that there'll be, $1 billion by how long. And I mean, one of the things that inspired me from even the leather fair that pushed me was to know that Louis Vuitton, Prada, Ralph Lauren buy leather from Nigeria. And that blew my, I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. So I went to find out for myself and see for myself. So it's just constantly pushing yourself, keeping abreast of, what's going on, but remaining true to who you are, because you could easily misread or go off track, right? So yeah, just focusing on where you see yourself going and what aligns.
One of the things I've noticed, basically, or one of the things I've seen that the trend within the fair, or what the fair has helped the industry achieve, is that prior to this time, when you want to look into the leather industry from outside Nigeria, there's almost no landmarks. The leather fair has been able to create that landmark. So after the first or the second leather fair I attended, I had people call me from Oman, from the UK, from Canada. Oh, we saw you at the leather fair, or we had a representative at the leather fair who sent us samples. So it's been able to create some level of authenticity for the brands within the fair, and it's been able to put the searchlight on an industry as the leather fair. Just like my other speaker said, there's been almost no other space to go apart from the Aaboux leather. And then a lot of people had this notion, sometimes true, that these shoes or these products from that space doesn't last as long as they preach it to. So when you approach them with a Nigerian-made product, they tend to hold back a bit and say, oh, are you sure about this? They hesitate a bit before they patronize. But coming to the leather fair has been able to help us streamline those concerns, because they can now interact, they can now have a direct feel, and most importantly, people can now see the brands, see different brands as what they look up to. Unlike before, you just go into shoes, you just go into repairs, you just go into bags, and you're just finding your way. But now we have the likes of Obi Leather who could say, oh, come, I'll take you through. I remember speaking to him and he said, oh, it's getting old. He wants to train, he wants to teach a lot of younger people some of the tricks which he didn't learn as a younger artisan. And I think that's more than enough for the leather fair.
Thank you so much. I think you and Zainab are making quite similar points about really leveraging the network that exists and collaborating. And I think that's one of the things that Shekinah also was referencing earlier in terms of trying to drive partnership amongst brands. For you, I think the services industry is a little bit different, and I'm quite curious as to, because I mean, also earlier when we were speaking, you mentioned there are actually a lot of people doing this. I didn't actually know that. So I'm curious as to what that industry looks like now and how LLF can play a role in evolving it.
So in the services industry, there are a lot of people that do it, but they are known as your cobblers, or those people on the street you see washing shoes in the gutter. We're all in the same industry. It's just that we're all doing targeting different markets. So I would say there are lots of people that actually clean shoes and can clean bags. But then also the reason why I would say tender leather care is different is because of the quality. Not saying the quality is bad, but the quality and the products we're actually using for the items that we're cleaning and fixing are actually quite high. I think with LLF, I believe that it will be great to see more people. I do know that my business for now is just targeted at the higher market because of the luxury leather goods that we're doing. But then also I feel like there's more space. So people that are actually cleaning shoes for the everyday shoe, people that are actually more affordable shoes and bags can actually also attend. And, you know, I believe that there is space for everybody at the LLF Fair to be able to do that as well. So yeah, I think it'll be good for people in the services industry to not be afraid, not to think that, oh, these kind of exhibitions are only for people that sell bags and shoes, but it could also be for people that actually clean items and work on items and repair items as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so it's really like thinking about expansion and more inclusion, essentially. Thank you for that. Sarah, I think you touched on it a little bit earlier when you were talking about the fact that, you know, it's similar to what all of you have been saying, why not me, why not here, why can't we do this in this country? And also you're kind of trend shifting because you're trying to say, guys, you can get rid of those Dell bags, right? So how have you seen men's fashion, I guess not fashion so much as men's accessories, have you seen that trend evolving, and how has LLF played a role in that?
Okay, so I would actually touch on that, but I would just touch a bit on what she said. So I think LLF, it would be amazing for like LLF to sort of introduce other stakeholders in the industry to be like part of this, right? Let me give you an example. If I talk to 10 brands, right, I can tell you one of the issues would be production capacity, right? Some other issue would be access to markets. Some other issue would be the fact that their artisans are just stressing their lives out and not being professional, right? So what I think LLF needs to do is to kind of see itself as a community, as some sort of cooperative somewhat, whereby it helps its members and helps the industry, right? So I am aware there was something being done in that area. I know there was an email I got last year, so I can't remember, but I mean, I just think there should be more done fast because there's so many opportunities we cannot get individually, but collectively we can actually get them. So I think this is a conversation that needs to happen right now, like today, if possible, right? Because we come here, showcase stuff. I mean, that's great, but just imagine you get a call saying, I want 5,000 of this. Can you do it? No. So what's the point, right? So we need to get more from this community. That's the first one. Yeah, okay. Secondly, like I've just said, I mean, let's just really get other stakeholders, machinery, financiers. I mean, I'm aware the Bank of Industry is, okay, no, is the Bank of Industry part? Oh, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there should be some type of concession given to vetted LLF members, right? Because all of us are having these issues. For example, you want to get a machine and they tell you is 11 million. How many brands here can pay 11 million for one machine that they will use for themselves? Yes, you could pay, but it would tie down too much of your cash. So we need to have these conversations via this LLF platform, right? So yeah. As regards men's accessories, yes, I can tell you there has been a very major change there. The guys that used to feel like it was feminine to carry a work bag now carry work bags. Some even own several work bags. So I think the world is also influencing men's fashion. And I think so many brands are kind of like influencing the way men behave. I was going to give an example of a brand that does that, but they're not into leather, by the way. Okoro is the name of the brand. So basically, they influence the way men should treat self-care, which also kind of in turn would influence the way men should treat themselves, fashion, all of these things, right? So yeah, I have definitely seen it change. And it's even changing more because quite interestingly, back then it was easier to say this bag is for men, this bag is for women, this bag is unisex. These days it's so hard. There's been times I've called a bag a feminine bag and then guys are buying it. I'm like, okay. And then I just change it to unisex. So many things are changing. So we as brands need to be very aware of what is changing. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, actually. I think it segues us nicely into a bigger question because now we're looking ahead. So thus far, you said it's going well for you as brands. It could go a lot better for the industry if there was more collaboration, if you were able to leverage each other a little bit more, or a lot more, actually, to really hit some of those big goals. I know that none of us are aspiring to necessarily stay, it's always a global goal, right? And so I think I want to take us kind of looking ahead, right? It's LLF 2030, for instance. What are the things that you need to see? I mean, Terry touched on this a bit more, but I would like to dig deeper. What are some of the things that you absolutely need to see by that time that you're just like, yeah, this, what needs to happen for you to meet those big goals and for LLF to really be the industry shaper that it's trying to be? I'm going to start accusing Zainab.
I think he's touched on it quite a bit, and that's really about community. I feel like we definitely need to strengthen and keep building that community because while you're sharing experiences, resources, like there's power in coming together, right? Leveraging power, negotiating power, that you as a small player, might not have that skill on your side. So I think definitely I'd like to see open to more African countries. I know we have some foreign designers now, and in the past we have had small ones, but like just dedicating and highlighting that, I guess, will probably garner more international interest because yes, we are LLF is the biggest fair in West Africa, leather fair. So I'd like to see that go across the continent, not just West Africa. And how we achieve that is by coming together, growing, having those key names in the industry, building and showcasing and adding credibility because, this gives us that credible platform. And the more we build on it and the more we strengthen it, I think would go a long way. I'd like to see more engagement across stakeholders, like he mentioned. So government agencies, policies, it would be great to have like maybe 2 fairs even in a year, not one, or even quarterly. We were saying 2030, right? Yeah, why not? Quarterly fair, showcasing things, supporting the younger brands, emerging designers. I love what they do, inspiring and, grooming the young ones that are coming behind and just, solidifying this platform. I'd really love to see that. But the collaboration aspect certainly has a lot of potential. So the stakeholders, the bank of industry people, the tax authorities, governments, financiers, bringing people together in a room to really thrash out and come up with a plan about how we can make this a formidable industry. I mean, the 80s, I went to Kano, and a lot of the tanneries there only semi-process because it's easier, it's small scale, and then they rather do containers and containers of semi-processed leather and export that. But why can't we process and do what we need to do? I mean, the infrastructure is there. I saw so many rundown and abandoned factories. It's just that maintenance culture. And, there's so many things that can be done because there is a lot of potential. Imagine if we made our own leather, stopped eating pomo. Sorry. Like it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that we could really tap into. So I feel like, providing those facilities, the infrastructure, the funding, like you said, you're buying a machine, 10 million, 11 million, and then what? But, having that communal access, I think would really, really go a long way to just having a roadmap and a plan for Nigeria and, Africa as a whole to really, dominate globally. We have the creativity, we have the skills, we have the talent, but, there are limitations. And I think once we're able to overcome these hurdles, then sky's the limit.
Absolutely. I think it's similar. It's that thing you say about, the multitude, there is more power in the multitude. How about you, Jerry? And I would like to know your thoughts on it.
Basically, I would speak to collaboration more because, like you rightly said, we all share common challenges. We face similar constraints. And I was pretty much happy when I saw Famad and the list of exhibitors today. I was like, okay, great. These are guys that we've known for years. They've been up there, and we're starting, especially in the shoe industry. And not too long before I came on stage, I was approached to say, "Oh, we have machines. They're not servicing as much as they used to service back then. They are open to other designers to come in." And I think that's great because it's been a pain point for most producers that I create a design. I want to do 1,000 because we've lost businesses because of that. You can't throw your brand name to gain money because somebody wants certain numbers, and then you go get guys who are not so skilled to do it. So because you have a brand name to protect, you're trying to play very safe. Your quality control is there and all of that. So you can meet up to the necessary demand and quantity you want to. But with the likes of a man opening the doors and bringing younger guys to access some of these machines and machineries that they have, I think it's actually one of the things we should look forward to. And again, policies. For the past, about 3 years now, the Lagos State government have been working on how in-house production center. I think those are kind of conversations we should look at to say how soon can this thing come on. But because really, we are building an industry, but we are far behind in even servicing our own demand, right? And if we should be taken seriously, we should be able to service our demand and do exports. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's even looking beyond any single brand. I like this outward perspective that we have because it's great for me to do well, but it's bigger than me. It's really about shaping and pushing an industry forward. Shekinah, for you, what would your perspective be on this topic?
I think I agree with both of them and believe that we need more collaborations in 2030 rather. I do agree also that it would be great to have more fairs. I feel like having one a year is not enough. I feel like there's so many people in this industry that could really benefit from being exposed to this kind of market and exhibition. I think that would be great. I also believe and agree with what Zainab is saying regarding government policies as well. I just feel like sustainability should be a big thing that we're talking about. And that's what I'm into, sustainability, obviously reusing items, not throwing them away. And I feel like that's something I would love to see more as a topic that we're discussing, not only in the leather industry, but also in the country. So for me personally, in that sense, I have to agree with what they've both said as well. It's not just to repeat everyone's saying, but I agree with what they're saying as well. I would love to see these things more. I think it would really help not only us on the stage, but all of you that are potentially looking to join the leather world. I just think that it is so important to be involved in these conversations now because we think 2030 is far, but it's actually just around the corner. So having these conversations now, working together, I think it would help us to be able to reach that goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, honestly, even just thinking about the fact that LLF has been here since 2017 is wild, and now so 2030 definitely is a car away. Wow, thank you, Zainab. That was definitely to work. Sarah, I'm going to reframe your question a little bit because you had started touching on this, but I think kind of like how they have said, more fairs really need to happen and things like that. What are the things that really do need to happen between 2023 and 2024 LLF that really will create some of the things that you've all been talking about, pushing the industry forward, more collaboration, more community building, more access and funding? What are some of the things that need to happen that you believe will really make the industry what it needs to be to help individual brands to thrive, but also to really push the industry forward to where it needs to be?
So, personally, I'm actually bigger on operational excellence than fancy looking stuff, right? Because it is very easy to take a nice picture of one bag in a very nice location with a nice looking influencer and all of that. But the way I like to see things is that I want to be able to use what I'm doing to buy a house in Ikogho, right? So the question is, LLF is nice and all. More fairs will be nice, yes. However, the fair should be an icing on the cake. There should be all year round activities that have to do with training, branding, sourcing, collaborations, all of these things, so that the fair is just an icing on the cake, right? People have been empowered throughout the whole year. It could even be monthly, weekly, right? Because we come for this fair, we're all happy, showcasing stuff, but we leave with the same issues that we came with, right? So LLF should just be an icing on the cake, basically. There should be things like organizing trainings, building some type of talent factory, all of that type of stuff should be done within the year. And then LLF just comes and we're all happy, we've made a lot of money and we're just showcasing for the fun of it. So that's the first one. So all year round, different activities happening. Then the second one I would say is that, which too, kind of like is part of this. So I think e-commerce should really be leveraged. I know there was something that was being done in that area, but we haven't seen that continue. So I think there should be some type of e-commerce platform created out of this, like an Alibaba model, right? So I will not talk too much on that. I might have to bill you if I talk too much on that. Consulting fees. But anyways, so yes, then also there should be more integration with the fashion industry. It's interesting that whenever people say fashion, they never think of bags, right? What they mean is apparel. I just concluded a program. I would want to mention the name of the program, but maybe I'll just leave it out. It was a fashion program, and I was the only person doing accessories in that whole program. And I was like, I felt very lonely. Like, are you saying fashion or are you saying apparel? Like, do you understand? So I think with the like of LLF being a very reputable body, there should be more integration with the fashion industry. So let me give you a practical example. LLF should talk to Lagos Fashion Week and say, what can we do together? So for every brand that's showcasing apparel, there should be a bag brand. Let me give you this numbers. During COVID, right? Was it Louis Vuitton or so? I can't remember. All their business divisions declined apart from one, their leather bag division. That shows you how important accessories are even to the fashion giants. So why is accessory somewhat, what's the word now? Why is it looked down upon in Nigeria when even the largest brands, that's where they make most of their money, right? So yeah, more integration with the fashion industry as a whole. We've talked about the government policies and all of that, so I will not touch too much on that. Just like she said, these guys are exporting because the policy allows it. When you create a policy that encourages local tanning and enables it via infrastructure, things will change. So that's where policy comes in. So the LLF should use its platform to talk to the likes of MAN, that's like the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, all of these bodies, right, that basically talk to the government or even talk to the government directly and see how we can actually form policies to improve the industry. Then also there should be more, because everybody wants to own a brand. And it's a very Nigerian thing to do. We all want to be the owner of this brand, and we're all suffering, right? There's a company in Vietnam. Is it Vietnam or so? They're a white label manufacturer of sneakers. They produce for Adidas. I'm a consultant, so I know all these things. As at last year, they were worth almost about, was it $20-something billion. All they do is produce for external brands. So you can be billionaire here without owning any brand. So let's talk more about white label manufacturing, right? Some people don't like that stress, e.g. Aaboux. I know, doesn't like the kind of stress, but some kind of people want to build that, right? So let's also talk more about these things. On this kind of panel, it would be nice to have that type of company or that type of person that doesn't necessarily own a brand, but is really doing well. I mean, let me give you an example. Luxottica is one of the most profitable businesses when it comes to eyewear. Most people don't know. They produce for Marc Jacobs, for all of these guys. Nobody knows them, but they're making a lot of money. So the point is, you can make a lot of money without being known. Personally, if I could do that, that is what I would do.
These are such strong salient points, and they really do link to what the LLF vision is, because it is a fair. But I mean, I think one thing that keeps being said is that LLF is more than a fair. It's just that in-between vision is still in development. And so hopefully as this community grows, inside of this community, hopefully there are ways that we can start to even have these conversations beyond these panels, beyond these fair days, like what exactly is going on? How can we as a community solve problem X, problem Y? And I think it will make it a lot better for people who want to start brands or who just want to be producers for a variety of brands. And I think that this maybe brings us to the final point before we open it up to the audience. So there are people who want to join LLF now. We're like, okay, I'm starting a brand. I really want to be a part of this community, especially with some of the points you've made, because if we can bring these things to life, it would be an amazing industry to operate and function in. What would you say to those people who are like, I want to join in, I'm not sure how, I'm kind of skeptical? I mean, like what are the tips or the high level advice you would give to new industry joiners or people who are interested in marketing things?
Okay, so I would say attending events like this, speaking to people, being inspired, a lot of research and planning, like plan over plan, research, know your facts, know where you're going, like talk about your vision, where do you see your brand going, why are you doing this, what's your why, are you here to make money, are you here to build a legacy, are you here to make impact? So you need to know your why. Then you start your research, so fact finding, read articles, there's so much out there, YouTube, speaking to other people, reach out, come to events, network, send DMs, and just really, really research, plan. And then as you go ahead, you're tweaking, you're reimagining, you're thinking, okay, I thought it was easy to do this and that. But I must tell you that business is tough. I worked in corporate for about 15 years before I resigned in 2020 to do this full time. And it's not been an easy journey. I mean, there are moments that you want to throw your hats in the ring and think, what's all this wahala? Let me just go back to work, do my 9 to 5, collect my salary at the end of the month. But the things that keep me going, is my why. From the beginning, I knew where I was going. I knew the kind of brand that I wanted to establish. I knew I wanted to leave a legacy for my children. I knew I wanted to make impact. So that keeps me going. And I knew what my values were as a person, which I sort of translated into my business. So excellence, integrity, quality in everything that I do. So you just have to keep at it, remain resilient, have a plan A, B, C. And like I mentioned earlier, like people might want to superimpose their own insecurities or their own visions of how things should be done. But by the time you've done all this work and you know who you are, you sort of remain grounded. And I'm not saying that you should be inflexible or, realize that a certain path you've taken isn't working. Yeah, it's recognizing to know, okay, when do I pause or re-strategize, or okay, I'm going off track here. How do I come back? Another thing that I'd say that I wish I knew very early on was to have an advisory board, right? Because you're alone. When you start, you're wearing all sorts of hats. You're doing your social media, you're doing your accounting, you're doing everything. You're designing, you're coordinating. Like, it's a lot of work, and it's not always easy to find the right team around you. But I guess once you do, you must, hold them tight and keep sharing your dream and your vision with your team. But then at the same time, you have an advisory board who are not in your day-to-day operations that can sort of give you their own high-level or objective views. Because sometimes you can have tunnel vision. You want to do something. No, I want it this way. No, it must be like this. But then, is there a demand for it? Is that what people want? Is that what people need? So people that you trust that will tell you the hard truths and that obviously align with your vision and your values. So plan, research, don't give up. People might tell you things. In fact, I know someone said to me, oh, how can you leave a job in oil and gas to go be selling bag and shoe? And I was just like, what? No, you think that's what I'm doing? That I'm doing more than that. So I knew my why, and I'm not sidetracked. And that's not to say that there aren't challenges along the way, because there certainly are effects. Oh, cost of power. Oh, this is like just so, and you're just like, oh my God, what do you want me to just pack up and just shut down shop? But again, I just keep going back to my why and where I'm going. So yeah, don't be afraid. Don't listen to what people say. Your vision and your dreams are valid. Just make sure you do the work and do the research to make sure that you stay on track and keep going. And don't be afraid to say, okay, this didn't work. This was a complete blunder, or it failed, and then move on to the next. Yeah, don't wallow in your self-pity. But yeah, have that community and support of people that you trust, that, believe in what you're saying and doing. And not everyone will. Your parents, your friends, some people might say, oh, no, no. Don't listen to them. Just stay true to yourself, but do all the work and research and keep pushing. That would be my advice.
Thank you so much. Stellar advice. Jerry?
Yeah, for me, I would just keep it simple. Number one is consistency. If you want to grow a brand, you want to scale, even beyond LLF, one of the values you should own is staying consistent to what you believe. Know your brand, know what your brand is, know what you represent and what you're not. Because sometimes people make the mistakes of, we're doing this today, it's not working, you're switching this. So when someone comes to you, or they're trying to read through your years of experience, and that there are no trails. So you're here today, you're here tomorrow. For example, I know that if you want to be on the LLF, you apply, you send your details, and then there are ways to check. Now, if they go to check, I assume that you're doing leather today, tomorrow you're doing something else. There's some level of inconsistency, and it beats to question, who is this brand? Is it what coming to the fair? Is it what being on the fair because of what the fair represents? So beyond just doing this, if you want to grow as a brand, stay consistent at what you do. And another thing is have a support system. No matter how strong or how good you are, or you feel that you are, you can achieve anything all by yourself. Yes, you could make certain steps forward, but if you're going to create a milestone, if you're going to stamp your foot in the time of time, you have to create a support system for yourself, for your brand. There are days you feel like quitting, just like Zainab said. There are days you feel like, you know what, I ain't doing this thing again. But once that support system comes, there are people that will talk you into, they'll remind you of why you started. Myself as an example, if I didn't meet Auntie Femi, I probably would not be here today. And from the word go, how did I even get into the leather fair? It was a friend who saw what I was doing and how well I was passionate about shoecraft, and said, you know what, you're so much into this thing. This was just about maybe 6 months after resigning from a job, and I was thrown all into leathers. And she said, you know what, you should go for this training because of what you were doing. So someone is seeing whatever you're doing at your little corner. There's someone watching, either you're aware or you're not. there are people watching, and the time would arise when they would remind you of what you've done. They would use that to judge what you're requesting for, or how well they could help you. So one is consistency, and two is to build a team and build a support system.
Thank you so much for that. You guys have touched on quite similar points as well. That support system found me big, because with the kinds of challenges you're talking about, you definitely need all the support you can get. Shekinah, we'd love to hear your advice as well.
So I think a lot of people that have businesses here or starting up. Yeah. So I think that for me personally, do your research. I know it looks all glamorous, but do your research. Don't just jump in the deep end. Because I was that person that had to do my research, because I knew that people, especially my parents, looked at me and they were just confused how I left the UK to be in Nigeria and I'm cleaning bag and shoe. They were just like, I do not understand. And they were just finding it embarrassing to even tell their friends, like, oh, my child is working at KPMG. Oh, my child is working at PwC. What's Shekinah doing? She's cleaning bag and shoe. So, I mean, that time when I had the conversation, and maybe it was March 2019, they were looking at me like, oh my God, this child, what a waste of school fees. But I'd done my research and I realized that actually there was a gap in the market, so this could work. And attending the fair, I was afraid, because I was like, oh my God, people in Nigeria are going to be looking at me like, what the hell is this babe doing? Hey, what does she think? Who does she think she is? Why would I clean with her when I can go to a malam? And rightly so, because the first person I hired in my business was a malam. But with my research and doing it afraid, which is what I want people to do, I was able to meet a lot of people who are now my customers, my clients, and it's just been a joy. So I feel like, yes, advice would be, do it. First of all, do your research. Don't jump in. Business is hard. It's being an entrepreneur. And he said something, a lot of people want to own businesses. They don't want to work for people. Even if you feel like you're not ready, meet us, meet other people, learn from people, just understand how things work before just jumping into the deep end and investing a lot of money. Once you've done that, do it afraid. Jump, get your hands dirty and work. I did not just hire malams and people on the streets. I actually went to the UK to 2 different companies. So you look at me and think, look at this one with hair and eyelashes and everything. But I would know how to clean airplanes, chairs. I know how to clean sofas and furniture in people's homes. I know how to clean shoes and bags and suitcases. I did the work. I learned how to also dye, and I learned so many things. I went to Asia for a week and it was scary, because why am I going to Asia by myself? But I went and did the work. You need to do the work. Don't be afraid of getting your hands dirty. Don't just hire people, especially if you want to start a business. Make sure you know all the components of your business. Also collaborate with people. And when I mean collaborate, doesn't mean you should now say, oh, like tender leather care plus, I don't know, something. No, I mean just collaborate and talk to people and just find out and communicate with people and just learn from other people that already started the journey. And I love building people and helping people. I just love it. That malam that I actually hired in 2019, I actually saw him on the street in Ebano and he was waving at my car like, madam. And it made me happy, because, it means I wasn't a bad boss, number one. And number two, that he was able to just gain something working with me, because he actually stopped my car and told me that he's, working on another shoe company and fixing shoes. So yeah, I really believe in helping people and, teaching people and training people. So I feel like, come and contact anybody. We will love to just help you. I personally would. I'm sure everybody here would love to help people. Explain more about our journeys, talk to you about the journey, what we should have done differently. I do agree with the advisory board. I want to get one now, thinking about it, because it is sometimes lonely and you have to make decisions, especially, with people. I love working hard. I love excellence. I'm a perfectionist, which is why my prices show, because I love making sure everything is perfect. I just feel like you do all these things and you will succeed and you will excel. I would never in a million years think that the person that my parents were just shaking their head at in 2019 will be on a panel talking about my business. I think that just keep staying true to your course and you will do well and you will succeed. And I can't wait to see you next year or the year after.
I have a couple of points, so I'll just try to be as quick. So the first one is, unlike, I mean, not to sound like quite old in the business, because it's not so long, it's about 5 years now, ish, 5, 6 years. When we actually started, it was hard to find, let me just say it this way, past question. Like, when you want to do something and there's no past question to use, you have to just find your way. It was hard, right? And I was very proud of being a hard worker. Like, I'll tell people, I don't want to work hard again. I want to make money, right? With as much, with as minimal effort as possible, being wise. So the first one is, when you want to start, the thought process shouldn't be, how do I do it? The first thing is, who has done it before? And just like she said, you talk to the person, because in Nigeria, we're very proud of being hard workers. That's why many times it takes us a lot more time to get to where we want to get to. And we pride ourselves in, do you know how much time it took me to get here? That's because you chose to allow it to take that time. So let's be thinking about, who has done it before? How can I respectfully partner, collaborate, talk to this person, being mentored by the person, all of that type of stuff, right? That's the first one. So leverage the resources which some of us have painstakingly built and made mistakes and lost money. So that's the first one. Second one is, there's this saying, in God we trust, every other person bring data, right? So work with your data, right? Many times we like to do things based on vibes, and we're a very religious country. So God will do it now, God will do it. I mean, you have to help yourself and then God will help you, right? So work with the data. So take your time, like she said, do the research. Like she said, it all looks nice, glamorous and all of that, but it is not so. So work with the data, test and retest. Let me give you an example here. There's a work bag that we made that did so well. We made it in black, and then it did very well. So we said, you know what, okay, we will now make the tan version of it, right? We made it in tan, a lot of it, because, I mean, it did very well in black now, so push it out, make plenty, and it did not sell. And that's money being tied down. And what I now got to find out was that it is too feminine for the guys in tan and too masculine for the women. So you're in the, and that's the worst place to be, in the middle, when you are too feminine for these people and too masculine for these people. It is terrible. So always test and retest. So if I was to go back, I would have made one first or two. Let me hear what people have to say before I rush and go and make plenty, right? So test and retest. Be very customer centric. Because you don't like it does not mean they will not like it. You are not the customer. If that's the case, you'll be using all your bags. You are not the customer. Be customer centric. Think about, what do they like, not what do I like. And it might sound very generic, but these things are subconscious. There was a time where, at the beginning of our business, almost all our bags were brown, because I like brown. Like, someone came and said, don't you have black bag? I said, black is boring. But it's me that is usually the bags, it's the customers now. So you want to make sure that you are customer centric. And this comes to advisory board, having team members that are not just yes men and yes women. They can actually say, no, let's do this. Because if it is just your own thought process, you will be very limited in the way you can actually reach the market. So that's that. Focus on branding from the beginning. There's this saying, it is easier and cheaper to brand than to rebrand. I will not call any brand name here, but there's some kind of brands that are trying their best to rebrand now. They're doing so many campaigns, working with the most bougie influencers, but people cannot just use their product because the way they actually started was just bad. So there's no way you want to use anybody that will make me use that product again. So from the get-go, focus on your branding. And because we're in a somewhat poverty-ridden country, it's easier said than done, because you want to eat. You want to make money now. So why would I use so much money to go and be branding, to be doing stuff that will just make myself look good when I want to make money right now? But in the long run, it would help. There's been companies that have called us to do things with them, multinationals. I did not go to their office. Nobody in my company went to their office. They just called us because they like the brand, and they're like, you know what? They trust this brand to work with them. Multinationals that people are scrambling for just called us. You understand? So these things, I know, I mean, it sounds bougie. You might think maybe I have money, I have rich parents. I don't have rich parents. I'm actually look like it, but I don't have rich parents. I just have a long-term mindset, right? I would prefer to suffer now and to enjoy later than to try to just do all of it now and then not be sustainable, right? So focus on branding from the beginning. And branding must not be expensive every time. Things have changed, right? Unlike before, there was so much lack of information that you had to pay so much to get it. But now it's very easy, or let me say relatively easy, right? So that's that. Know your place in the value chain. Not everybody must be brand owner, right? Not everybody must, be popular. You can be supplying accessories and you'll be billionaire. Imagine you supply accessories to all the brands in Nigeria. Just imagine. They will not know you, but you'll be making so much money. You know what? They could even know you, right? So look at the value chain and say, you know what, okay, I want to play here. You must not own a brand. You can be a white label producer. You could just be trading people. You could just be supplying accessories, like I've said. So know your place in the value chain. And yeah, partnerships, right? We're not very used to partnerships in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we're a very competitive set of people. We're not very collaborative. And I don't lie to you, all of us somewhere sometimes have that mentality. And I can tell you the major issue is because of our access to markets. In our head, this is a small market. So if I collaborate with this person, that person will take from this my small pot. But imagine the market was bigger. You will not see yourself more as a competitor, but as a collaborator, because you know that no matter what I do, I cannot satisfy this market. So when you see a small market, you would see everybody as competition. But when you see a big market, you say, you know what, no matter what I do, I cannot supply 10,000 pieces to these people. So I need to collaborate. So partnerships should be something that we should all really think about. I'm the ones that want to just start. Operational excellence, like I have been saying, these days it's so easy to have fancy pictures and all of that online. But the real business is in the operations. It is not about having fancy pictures and then they come and say, I want 10,000 of this and you cannot do it. Who are you trying to impress or who are you trying to fool? You're not making money, but you're having fancy pictures. So focus on operational excellence every time. Then the last two is there should be a lot of focus on soft skills. Something I have actually noticed, and some of us here could have actually noticed, and not just in our industry, you work with artisans, right? As a brand owner, and then they learn, and then they run away, and they come back. Because they did not realize that business is not just about the fact that you can make the bag. Do you know how to sell the bag? Do you know how to do the books? Do you know how to do marketing? Do you know how to network? So let's understand that business is not just about I can make the bag. It's not just about I can make the bag. If you know how much energy business owners take to make sure the bag gets from the raw material to making a customer happy, you will be shocked, right? So yeah, let's just always actually focus on the fact that soft skills are very big in business, and let's not be very quick to want to just to run away. So yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for even I needed some of this advice. So definitely thank you so much. We are out of time, but I think, you know what, it's actually kind of a good thing that you can't ask your questions here, because it means you're going to go to Aaboux, you're going to go to Mac and J, you're going to go to Tender Leather Care, and you're going to go to Diesel Africa stands, and you're going to engage them in their actual place of work and ask them questions and learn on what they do. I know it's a hack that I've kind of used because there's no time, but I appreciate you all for being a very attentive audience. And I think most of all our panelists, I think they deserve an amazing round of applause. It takes a lot to come here, share their stories, especially leaving their stands. And so I thank you all for the tips of advice. I thank you also for the insights that you've even given the Lagos Leather Fair team on how to actually make this a lot more than a fair and really making the vision bigger. Thank you so much for your time.